Welcome to this episode of WordPress Essentials. In this session, we're going to discuss updating your WordPress version. It's critically important for security that you choose to log in as the administrator and really go through that updating process very regularly. I would like to think probably once a month or at least once a quarter. WordPress releases regular updates, even micro updates on pretty much a fortnightly basis. So you've got to keep in front of those updates across your plugins as well and your theme to make sure your site is safe and secure. So pretty much every time you log in as an administrator, you'll see a little notification saying your site needs to be updated. Now, do not just go and press that button. There's a few steps we need to take in order to make that backup process nice and smooth and the updating process nice and smooth, and we rely on that backup so we can roll back at any stage. This version that I'm about to show you is not for e-commerce owners. E-commerce owners should take a few more steps, such as downloading the entire site, setting it up in a test staging zone, and running the updates on your staging site before you run the updates on the live. It's critically important that you're checking back each step along this process. Update a plugin, go and check the site. Update the next plugin, go and check the site. So there's a process related to that. In this version, I'm taking you through some simple steps. Backing up the site first, updating your plugins, updating your WordPress core, and going through updating your theme. So we'll cross over to the screen share now and take a look at how that process is done. So I've got my version of WordPress here. I'm on, you can see here, WordPress is running 5.1.1 on the dashboard with just the standard 2019 theme. This website doesn't have any detail in it. It's just a test website to take you through this process. So quite often, if you are out of sync with your updates, then you'll see a recommended update is available here. And it takes you to the link to update the core of WordPress and go through that. It's quite a simple process. It can be quite a simple process. But before you start hitting buttons, I recommend we do a few things just in case something goes wrong, because it often does. We get phone calls from clients who do this on their own and call us a week later wondering why their website hasn't worked, and they'll blame something else other than, yeah, I did do a upgrade last week and I forgot that I didn't take a backup. So there's all a process of having to rewind. So let's try and avoid that. So the first thing we do when we're upgrading a site is take a backup. So there's plenty of backing up tools available or plugins available in WordPress. I tend to do it on our server. In this case, we run cPanel on the server. So cPanel is a very, very common hosting management tool, and your WordPress probably runs on either cPanel or Plesk. Here's my cPanel login now. And in this case, I just typed in my website address /cPanel. It takes me to the login. So you'll need from your hosting company the access details to that. I've kept these in a safe place over here for this tutorial. Don't worry, here we go. So I'm logging in to my cPanel account to firstly take a backup of the site. So within cPanel, there is a backup link. I click that. I go download a full account backup. I've already done one back in May, but I'm going to take another one. Now I can put an address in here if I want, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to generate a backup. This can take a very short amount of time for a very small site to quite a few minutes, if not half an hour or more for a very large site, say a 10 gig site, lots of images, lots of email. It's taking a snapshot of everything here in the process. So the important thing about taking a snapshot of where you're at is the database. All your WordPress websites run off a database. All the content of your site pretty much is contained within the database. And then the files sit separately. So this backup takes a database snapshot and a file snapshot. You actually don't need to download this, but you just need to know you've actually done it. So there we go. There's my backup. It's very quick because this is a very small site. So backup's done. I can do what I like on this site now. I can break it and I can rewind if I need to. So I've got a safety stop. So I don't usually just go and update WordPress straight away. I go and update my plugins first. It gives you an indication of what is really out of date and what you can upgrade easily and what you should upgrade easily. So it's very rare to only see a site with only 2 plugins. I wish that was the case, but in WordPress now, some people have, the DIYers have probably got 15 to 30 odd plugins doing all sorts of crazy stuff. We try to keep that list down to 5 to 10. Which should be your target for plugins. Too many plugins equals a very insecure website. So the process of upgrading can be quite simple. I can just click upgrade now on each of these plugins. So what I normally do is upgrade a plugin, then go to the front end of the site to make sure it's all still working. Very occasionally you'll get a failure here, or a failure will trigger something on the front end to not work quite correctly. So just work your way down the list, upgrading each plugin as you go. You should end up with pretty much a clean slate on your plugins list. However, as I said earlier, this is not a, if you're running as I said earlier, if you're running WooCommerce or a commerce engine in here, I wouldn't just click update like I just did there, even though I've taken a backup. You need to be doing that in a test site first. So we would actually download the entire site, install it in a test environment, and run all the backups and do the WooCommerce backup as well. WooCommerce does some interesting things with files, and unlike most plugins, is not totally self-contained. So yeah, be very careful with upgrading WooCommerce. Do it in a right structured manner. So plugins are done. I go back to my dashboard, and I'm going to click through to my update my WordPress core. Here's an updated version is available. I would go update now. It's going to take me through. It just temporarily takes the website offline for this. So if you know you're in a busy period for the site, I wouldn't be doing this right now. So it's going to work through the update process. This can take a minute or two. It'll load a page in a second to actually do this process. So let's let it roll. Okay. So it's successfully upgraded the database and the WordPress core. So it's overwritten a bunch of files. The interesting thing with WordPress is it does a really good job of not touching your theme files. Your theme files are pretty much contained in the process and aren't interrupted by what I've just done there, which is the WordPress core. So the risk now is in updating your theme files. Updating theme files will overwrite visual changes and custom changes you've made to the code in that particular theme. You need to be very careful about updating your theme. In fact, I would leave it to a professional to do it. If you know exactly what you're doing with your theme, or you've created what's called a child theme. So the child theme isn't being upgraded, which is all your changes, it's the core theme being upgraded, then it's okay to do this process. But this is where the risk is. So let's go and have a look at the updates. So my theme now needs an upgrade. I can click here and go update themes, and it's going to update my core theme that I've got on here. So it's pretty straightforward. Now my database is up to date. my WordPress core is up to date, and my themes are up to date, and my plugins are up to date. Happy days. We now have a much more secure site than I did 5 minutes ago.